In 2007, in Western Australia, Enos rides his bike to a gas station during a sandstorm and calls a biochemist named Martins, who is in Italy. Enos desperately explains that he tried to talk to several people at NASA, but everyone keeps ignoring him. He tells her that the locals are dying because something came out of the Skylab tank that crashed in Australia 18 years earlier. Martins tries to ask for more details, but the storm gets stronger and the call ends. 27 hours later, Martins arrives at the same gas station and meets Major Robert and Lieutenant Trini, who work for the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, or DT. Martins tells them the tank was sent to the satellite with a parasitic fungus that could adapt from one species to another. However, she doesn't believe that fungus is what came out of the tank now. She points out that no one has been in this area since Enos's phone call, which suggests everyone is dead. After Martins injects herself with medicine in case of deadly allergens, the three of them put on hazmat suits and start searching the area with their body cameras on. Trini wonders why NASA sent a dangerous organism to space. Martins explains they wanted to create an antifungal medicine for astronauts. The group counts 14 homes and 12 cars, but not a single person. Eventually they find the tank, and Martins notices the locals tried to clean it with a homemade mixture of potatoes and dish soap. It is inside a building called the Skylab Museum, which has many old newspaper articles about the fallen satellite. Using a magnifying glass, Martins finds tiny cracks and realizes the potato mixture leaked into the tank, feeding the fungus. With only a little water, it could multiply easily. On one of the cracks, Martins notices a green stain. She asks Robert to hold her while she looks closer and confirms the green fungus has grown and mutated. Suddenly the fungus moves and lunges, so Martins steps back in fear. At that moment, Trini says she has found a body, so Martins goes to join her without realizing some fungus is stuck to her boot. It burns through the sole and moves into the hazmat suit. On a roof, they find a body with the entire chest cavity torn open. All the skull plates are split as well. Robert looks around and realizes that all the locals are dead on the town's roofs with the same injuries. Martins believes the fungus made them climb to the roofs and wait to burst. This way it could multiply and spread. Suddenly the dead man's head cracks open, revealing the fungus inside. Martins then returns to the tank to collect a sample while explaining that something like a spore must have entered the shell after re-entry, meaning a new species has been created. Once the sample is secured, the group starts to leave. As the fungus enters Martins's body, she begins to feel very hot and smells burnt toast inside her suit. Soon she becomes dizzy and can barely walk, and she vomits green fungus into her helmet. Then the fungus takes control of her brain and keeps repeating the word spread. Martins rushes to the car, and Trini pulls out her gun, but Robert pushes her away when Martins drives toward them. The vehicle hits him and injures his back, leaving him unable to move. When Martins tries to take the gun, Trini struggles with her, but she can't stop her. With the gun in her hand, Martins steps away from the agents and briefly becomes clear-minded, realizing what she has done. She disconnects the air tube from her suit and fires into the opening, choosing to sacrifice herself to stop the fungus. A few hours later, the army arrives in the town to recover the sample. After they leave, the entire town is destroyed with explosives. The sample is then taken to a secure facility in Kansas, where it is kept in cold storage. As the years pass, the facility is abandoned or rented out without much attention. In 2026, the facility is being used as a storage company. One morning, Travis arrives at work and is bothered by the manager, Griffin, who wants his help with a plan to rob the building. Travis refuses, but Griffin threatens him until Travis agrees to at least open the door for his gang. Later that evening, Mary arrives to check on her unit. Travis is friendly and tries to talk with her, but she is in a hurry. After he takes her to the elevator, he hears a beeping sound but assumes it is nothing. Inside the storage unit, Mary takes a gun out of her boot and looks at a picture of her dead husband, wishing him a happy anniversary. She raises the gun to kill herself, but she cannot do it, so she decides to lie down and take a nap instead. Soon Travis hears the beeping sound again, so he uses the intercom to call his new co-worker, Naomi. She comes to the lobby but does not hear the noise. When they introduce themselves and shake hands, she notices his tattoo. At that moment, Naomi receives a call and has a short argument before hanging up. Right after that, she hears the beeping sound too. In North Carolina, Robert wakes up after receiving a call from the government. After telling his wife everything is fine, he opens a safe, takes out his old satellite phone, and contacts his former base. Abigail explains that they received a temperature breach alert from a decommissioned facility. Robert becomes angry because he had warned his superiors many times that weather conditions could affect the storage, but no one listened. Since he is now retired, he needs equipment and official clearance. Abigail hesitates to give him permission. Robert then reminds her that this is exactly the kind of situation she gave up her personal life for, a chance to truly help innocent people. Inside the facility, Travis and Naomi realize the noise is coming from behind a wall. When Naomi receives another call, she ignores it and explains that it's from the father of her kids. She says she wants to break the wall to find the source of the sound, but Travis refuses because he doesn't want to lose his job. Naomi notices that his tattoo is from prison and guesses he is on parole, so she keeps begging until he finally agrees. Travis brings some tools and breaks a hole in the wall, revealing a room with a huge computer inside. He walks in to take a closer look, but Naomi is the one who realizes it is a control panel that monitors temperature. After breaking more of the wall, she joins Travis in the room, and he explains that the building used to be a military storage site. There is a map on the wall, and Naomi takes a photo when she notices there are lower levels. She wants to check them out, but Travis refuses again. So once more, she starts begging him. Travis finally loses his patience and admits that he spent most of his life agreeing with people too easily, which is how he ended up in prison. Naomi apologizes for pushing him too much, and Travis realizes she will investigate with or without him, so he decides to go with her. The pair take the elevator and follow the map until they find a door inside the janitor's closet. It looks sealed, but a quick kick opens it, revealing another hidden room. When they step inside, an alarm sounds for a second. They look around and notice many pieces of equipment from the 1970s, including hazmat suits. At the end of the corridor, they find the ladder leading to the lower levels. Looking down, they see that it goes about 500 feet deep, so Naomi tells Travis to go first. In the lower levels, they find a door labeled DTR access only. Since they don't know what DTR means, they open it anyway. On the other side, they see a sealed chamber and a large pipe filled with freezing water. In one corner, rats covered in fungus struggle to move because their tails are tangled together. Some of them are even eating each other. While Travis steps back from a rat that suddenly jumps toward him, Naomi looks through the window on the chamber door and sees fungus spreading across every wall. There is also fungus on the door, but when she tries to touch it, Travis quickly stops her. After Naomi notices the door feels hot, they both decide it is better to leave. Outside, Mike parks his car and angrily hits the steering wheel. Then he looks at his gun before calling Naomi, revealing that he is the father of her children. She doesn't answer, so he leaves a voicemail complaining that she hasn't been answering his calls and saying that he is in serious trouble. Suddenly, he hears a noise coming from his trunk and goes to check it. He is surprised when the trunk door moves. When he opens it, he sees that the cat he thought was dead is actually alive. Mike apologizes for shooting it, but the cat turns around and shows that half of its face is missing because of the fungus. The cat hisses at Mike and jumps out of the trunk, vomiting fungus onto the ground. Then it climbs onto the roof and moves up the antenna, where it impales itself. When the antenna pierces its head, the entire body explodes, and the infected blood splashes onto Mike and some nearby deer. The fungus quickly moves into Mike's brain, causing him to collapse and vomit for several minutes. After that, it commands him to find more people, which Mike understands as finding Naomi. After grabbing his gun, he walks into the building with an infected deer following him. On a DTR plane, Robert is watching the video of Martins's death. At that moment, he receives a call from Wesley, who has become the new leader of their division. Wesley believes Robert is obsessed with an old case and is overreacting to what is probably just a broken circuit. They argue briefly before ending the call. Then Abigail contacts Robert and tells him she has read his report about the Australian incident, so she supports him. Robert gives her a message for Trini that mentions item 7 and explains that his line is not secure, so she will always have to be the one to call. When Wesley notices Abigail speaking on her personal phone, she pretends she is talking to her boyfriend about a pregnancy scare so he will leave her alone. At the facility, the two co-workers search the acronym online and discover that it stands for the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. When they step out of the janitor's closet, they are shocked to see a deer riding the elevator. Travis wonders how something like that could happen. A flashback reveals the details. Years earlier, the fungus escaped its container through a small hole in the door. A few hours ago, a cockroach ate the fungus and became infected. A rat tried to catch the roach, and the fungus stuck to its nose as well. The roach later crawled through the vents and reached the street, where Mike's car crushed it. The fungus then climbed up the tires and slipped into the trunk, where it revived the dead cat. Travis and Naomi run back to the lobby, only to see the deer coming out of the elevator. As soon as it notices them, it starts charging toward them. Naomi pulls Travis aside just before the deer explodes. Its antlers fly off and stick into the wall. Moments later, Mike also steps out of the elevator and admits that he shot his parents' cat, which Naomi cared about a lot. He pulls out his gun and shouts at them, telling them to open their mouths because he wants to vomit inside them. Travis and Naomi run away while Mike fires his gun, and the shots wake Mary up. Hearing Mike chasing them, the pair run to hide inside a random storage unit. Unfortunately, the door is stuck and they cannot close it completely. Mike walks down the corridor without noticing them. However, an object suddenly falls behind him. Travis quickly pulls it inside the unit, and Mike leaves without seeing anything. The duo feels relieved to be safe. However, when Travis steps back, he accidentally hits several objects and makes a lot of noise. Soon Mike returns and tries to reach inside the unit, so the duo works together to push the door down and finally close it. Mike has to pull out his bleeding hand, which now has several broken fingers. Naomi searches the internet for a number they can call for help. At the airport, Robert is picked up by Trini, who tells him they need to make a stop to get item 7 before going to the crime scene. At that moment, Abigail calls Robert and tells him she has a civilian from the facility on the other line. She connects both calls so Naomi can explain what happened while Mike keeps hitting the door. After realizing that the fungus is finding new ways to spread, Robert promises he will arrive at the facility soon and gives Naomi clear instructions. No one should touch the fungus. They must stay hidden, and they must not talk to anyone except Robert or Abigail. After Robert ends the call, Trini says the duo will probably die. Meanwhile, Travis and Naomi argue about whether the fungus infection counts as a zombie. Suddenly they hear a noise outside. It turns out Griffin has arrived with his gang to rob a storage unit. When the group goes inside, they see the deer's body in the hole in the wall. Griffin grabs the intercom and threatens Travis for ruining his business. After that, they go to another unit to steal several TVs. Meanwhile, Robert and Trini climb over a fence and break into a house where they open a chest to retrieve item 7. On their way out, they are stopped by the house owner holding a weapon. However, the man turns out to be Trini's son. She distracts him with some kind words, and the duo manages to leave without much trouble. Outside, Robert scolds Trini for keeping something so dangerous in a normal house, but Trini doesn't see the problem and hugs him. She asks him to go on without her because she is too slow now and would only slow him down. While driving, Robert talks to Abigail and tells her that if it starts raining, the fungus will spread too quickly to stop. He wants satellite reconnaissance because any infected creature will show unusual heat signals on the radar. Abigail will have to ask some favors to get access to that system. Back at the facility, Travis wants to leave, but Naomi says it is too dangerous. They argue, and this time Travis wins, so they leave the unit. As they quietly move through the corridors, they notice that Mike's body is getting worse. Soon Mike finds half of the robbers inside another storage unit and vomits fungus all over their faces to infect them. Then he shuts the door, trapping them inside until the fungus takes full control. After that, Mike sees Travis and Naomi and starts chasing them. Just as he is about to catch them, Mary shoots him in the head and his body explodes across the corridor. Mary wants to take the elevator, but Travis hears Griffin coming, so he leads her to the stairs instead. Before leaving, Mary gives him the gun. Griffin and Friedman start searching for Travis, who throws the gun away. The remaining thieves outside grow tired of waiting and leave with the few TVs they manage to steal. Travis confronts the men and tells them to stay away from Mike's body. Inside the locked unit, the infected robbers are losing their minds and pounding on the door. Travis tries to explain that they are extremely sick, but Griffin still wants him to open it. When Griffin tries to threaten Travis, he slips on the blood and accidentally fires his gun, shooting Travis in the arm. Injured, Travis slowly walks toward the unit, but instead of opening it, he locks it. Before Griffin can react, Naomi sprays him with a fire extinguisher. By filling the corridor with thick fog, she and Travis manage to escape. Friedman becomes tired of Griffin's stupidity and struggles with him for the gun, so Griffin punches him. Then Griffin tells the robbers inside the unit that they have his key, so they lift the door slightly to give it back. When Griffin opens the door, he is horrified by the terrible condition of his friends. Friedman walks away in shock but slips on the blood, falling onto the fungus and becoming infected as well. Inside the unit, a thief says she doesn't feel well and suddenly explodes. When Travis and Naomi finally leave the building, they meet Robert. After Abigail confirms they are both healthy, Robert gives them a gun and hazmat suits. He tells them to go back inside and place item 7, which turns out to be a bomb. Travis panics at the idea of killing people, but Robert explains that the explosion will be contained underground and says it is the only way to save the world from the fungus. Robert will stay in the parking lot to stop any infected creature that tries to escape. After putting on the hazmat suits, the duo picks up the bomb and goes back inside. Meanwhile, Robert starts cutting the tires of every car in the parking lot so no one can escape. Abigail warns him that someone warm is approaching, just before Friedman appears behind him. Robert quickly shoots him several times, but the sudden movement hurts his back and he collapses. After Friedman explodes, Robert shoots all the bikes and starts a small fire. Inside the building, Griffin is trying to control his infected friends with his gun, but one of them runs away. At the same time, Travis and Naomi reach the chamber and discover that the fungus has spread into the next room. They must stop it before it reaches the pipe. When they place the bomb, they realize Robert has already activated it, leaving them only 6 minutes to escape. As they start running as fast as possible, the countdown suddenly glitches and begins moving faster. Outside, Robert notices the fungus from Friedman's body moving toward him. At the same time, Griffin pushes an infected robber out the door, and Robert immediately shoots him. Robert then tries to shoot Griffin, but Griffin quickly runs back inside. Suddenly the infected robber's body sits up and starts talking. Terrified, Griffin shoots it again before running outside. Just as Griffin is about to shoot Robert, Trini arrives and kills him first. Meanwhile, Travis and Naomi find their path blocked by the last infected robber. Naomi quickly shoots her, and the two finally escape the building. Trini raises her gun, but Robert assures her that they are not infected. The group helps Robert into the car and drives away as fast as they can. Moments later, the bomb explodes. The blast is so powerful that it causes the ground around the facility to collapse. Naomi pushes the car to its limit, avoiding falling debris while racing ahead of the collapsing ground. After a few tense seconds, the explosion finally stops spreading and the group escapes safely. Back at the base, Abigail sees no more infected heat signals on the radar while an alarm reports a nuclear event. The next day, Wesley appears on the news, and reporters criticize him for not taking the fungus threat seriously. Later, Abigail visits Robert in the hospital and thanks him for reminding her why she joined the DTR. At a park, Naomi introduces Travis to her daughters. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, a deer suddenly vomits fungus, showing that the danger may not be over. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video and supporting the channel.